The Carters were an ordinary family of four: Mark, Alina, and their two kids, Sophie and Jake. They loved the outdoors and spent every summer exploring different parts of the country. This year, they chose the Pine Ridge Mountains, a peaceful stretch of wilderness known for its hiking trails, fresh air, and scenic views. It was supposed to be a relaxing weekend trip, 3 days of camping, fishing, and unplugging from the world. But they never came back. Rescue teams searched for weeks. Helicopters flew overhead. Volunteers combed the forests, and park rangers checked every trail and cave. The family's car was found parked at the trailhead, and their campsite appeared undisturbed. No signs of struggle. No evidence of animals. Just gone. As days turned into weeks, hope began to fade. Locals whispered about the mountain's dark history, stories of hikers who vanished without a trace. Legends no one talked about too seriously. Until now. Then, 3 weeks later, a motion-activated wildlife camera deep in the forest captured something. At first, it looked like just another night shot of deer passing through. But when the rangers reviewed the footage more closely, their faces went pale. Someone or something was in the background. It was blurry, just barely lit by the moonlight, but unmistakably human-shaped. It moved oddly, like it wasn't walking, but watching. And behind it, even deeper in the trees, were more figures. No one could explain what the camera saw. But the Carters' disappearance was no longer just a missing person case. The footage was sent to local authorities, and soon, experts from the state were called in to analyze it. They enhanced the grainy image frame by frame. What they found only deepened the mystery. The figure closest to the camera was tall, thin, and wearing what looked like torn clothing. Its posture was unnatural, shoulders slightly hunched, arms dangling low, head tilted sharply to one side as if it was listening. Behind it, 3 more shapes lingered in the shadows. One of them appeared much smaller, possibly a child. The park rangers kept quiet about the footage at first, hoping not to spark panic, but word eventually leaked. Locals started coming forward with strange stories, hearing voices in the woods, seeing flickering lights late at night, and even feeling followed while hiking near the Carters' last known location. A retired guide swore he saw someone standing still between the trees just days before the family vanished, someone who didn't belong there. Mark's brother, Daniel, refused to believe the family was just gone. He started his own search, hiking the same trails with nothing but a flashlight, a map, and the wildlife camera photo in his pocket. He became obsessed with the footage, convinced that the blurred shape in the back was Sophie. She's alive. He told anyone who would listen, I know it. But she's not alone out there. The deeper Daniel looked, the more it seemed like something wasn't just hiding in the mountains, something was guarding them. Watching, waiting. Daniel's search quickly turned into an obsession. He set up his own trail cameras across the area, often hiking in alone before dawn, refusing to give up even as officials started pulling back resources. Each time he returned, he looked more worn down, haunted, like the mountain was pulling him deeper into something he didn't fully understand. One evening, while reviewing the footage from his latest camera, he noticed a figure again. It wasn't clear, but it stood in almost the same position as the one from the original wildlife video, near a tree line, half in shadow. But this time, something was different. It looked like the figure was holding something, or someone. A small shape. Arms, possibly a child. He brought the clip to a local reporter who had been covering the Carter family's disappearance. She had heard all kinds of wild theories: abductions, secret cults, even paranormal activity. But this footage made her pause. If that's really Sophie, she whispered, then someone's keeping them out there, on purpose. Meanwhile, strange things began happening in town. One hiker claimed he found a wooden carving near the trailhead with strange markings. symbols that didn't match anything from the area. Another camper said he heard whispers at night, like voices all around him, though no one else was nearby. As Daniel dug deeper, he started connecting dots that no one else had. Missing persons cases that never made the news. Families that vanished from other states, all near forested mountain regions, and always no trace left behind. Daniel knew he was running out of time. Temperatures were dropping, and the longer the Carter family stayed missing, the harder it would be to believe they were still alive. But something about that last video, the small figure clinging to the tall shape, gave him hope. Or maybe it was desperation. Either way, he couldn't stop now. One foggy morning, Daniel returned to the exact location marked by his trail cam. As he stepped deeper into the woods, his phone lost service. The air felt heavier. Even the birds were silent. He followed broken twigs and faint boot prints he hadn't noticed before. They led him to a narrow path hidden behind thick brush, something that looked more like an old animal trail than anything people would use. He followed it for nearly an hour. That's when he saw it. Tied to a low branch was a small piece of fabric, pink and faded, like it had once been part of a child's jacket. Daniel's hands shook as he pocketed it. He kept walking, heart racing, until he reached an open clearing dot. At the center stood a wooden structure, almost like a shelter, built from fallen trees and branches. It looked recently used. Around it were more signs, burnt logs, food wrappers, and another trail camera nailed to a nearby trunk. But this one wasn't his. He took a step closer and suddenly froze. From inside the shelter, he heard movement. Slow, careful. Then, a quiet voice. "Hello." It was a child, and it sounded like Sophie. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. He hadn't heard her voice in nearly a month, but there was no mistaking its soft, cautious, and afraid. "Sophie," he whispered, inching toward the shelter. The silence that followed was long and tense. Then, slowly, a small figure stepped into view. It was her. Her hair was tangled, her clothes dirty, but her eyes were clear. She looked up at him, startled, then backed away. Before Daniel could speak, another figure emerged behind Hearn. Older man, gaunt and weathered, with a long beard and sharp, sunken eyes. He held up a hand, not in threat, but in warning. "Don't come closer," he said firmly. "They're watching." Daniel froze. Who's watching? Where are the others? The man glanced toward the trees. "They don't like outsiders. They let her talk because they know you. But if you stay too long, they'll come." Before Daniel could press for answers, Sophie tugged at the man's sleeve and whispered something. He nodded, then looked back at Daniel. "She says her family's alive. But not all of them are okay." A sudden rustling came from deep in the woods, fast and low, circling the clearing. The man grabbed Sophie's hand and pulled her back inside. "If you want them back, you need to leave now," he warned. "Come back alone." Tomorrow, no camera, no lights. Daniel stood frozen as the woods grew still again, and that's when he noticed his own trail camera was missing. Completely gone, Daniel returned the next morning just after sunrise. Exactly as instructed: no camera, no phone, no flashlight. It's just a backpack with food, water, and a photo of the Carter family. The woods felt different this time, still, but alive. Like the trees themselves were watching. He retraced his steps through the narrow trail, heart pounding with every turn. Unsure what he'd find or if he'd even make it back. When he reached the clearing, the shelter was gone, completely dismantled. No signs of life. Just the photo he had brought, now pinned to a nearby tree. Below it, a rock had been placed carefully, holding a single piece of paper. It was a map, hand-drawn, marked with a red X. Following it led him deeper into the mountain, where no marked trail existed. Hours passed until he finally came upon a cave hidden behind a curtain of moss and branches. Inside, he found them, Alina and Mark, huddled together, gaunt but alive. Sophie was with them. Jake, too. They stared at Daniel like they weren't sure he was real. "We've been hiding," Alina whispered. From them, as he helped them out, Mark paused. "Someone else still out there?" he said quietly. "The man who helped us escape said they wouldn't stop with us." Daniel looked confused. "Who?" But Mark shook his head. "He never said his name, just that he lost someone here too, and he's been waiting ever since." And when they turned back one last time, the map was gone. So was the trail. The Carter family was taken straight to the hospital after Daniel guided them down the mountain. Their bodies were weak, but they were alive. Authorities swarmed the area the next day, but the cave couldn't be found again. No trail, no shelter, and no sign of the man who'd helped them. The forest had closed itself off once more, like it was never meant to be opened. Sophie and Jake spoke little at first. When they did, their stories were fragmented. They remembered strange sounds at night, people whispering outside the trees, and someone always just out of sight. The man who hid them had no name, no home, just a voice that told them how to survive and when to stay hidden. They said he called them the Watched Ones. News of their rescue spread fast. Some called it a miracle. Others whispered about the Pine Ridge curse. But Daniel stayed quiet, didn't speak to the press. He just sat with the Carters every day, making sure they never felt alone again.